Here's what Donald Trump says about your freedom. After 50 years of failure, with nobody coming even close, I was able to kill Roe v. Wade. 2 years ago, the Supreme Court justices that Trump handpicked helped overturn Roe v. Wade.
Never before has the court granted and then taken away a widely recognized constitutional right.
New laws banning abortion are taking effect.
Decades of progress shattered just because the last guy got 4 years in the White House. We know what will happen if he gets another 4. For MAGA Republicans, Roe is just the beginning. They're going to try to ban the right to choose nationwide. They're coming for IVF and birth control next. We're up against extremism. Send me back to the White House and I'll fight like hell to restore Roe v. Wade and protect American freedom.
That was an exclusive first look at the Biden campaign's new message on the 2-year anniversary of the fall of Roe. To mark this day, I sat down for an exclusive interview with Vice President Kamala Harris, who has been the administration's leading voice on this issue, as well as a young woman by the name of Hadley Duvall. Hadley, as you may recall, was the subject of a powerful campaign ad last year from Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear, featuring her story as a sexual abuse survivor.
I was raped by my stepfather after years of sexual abuse. I was 12. Anyone who believes there should be no exceptions for rape and incest could never understand what it's like to stand in my shoes. This is to you, Daniel Cameron. To tell a 12-year-old girl she must have the baby of her stepfather who raped her is unthinkable. I'm speaking out because women and girls need to have options. Daniel Cameron would give us none.
So that ad is credited with playing a role in Governor Beshear winning re-election in one of the most conservative states in the country. Now, Hadley is speaking out on behalf of the Biden campaign in defense of abortion rights. And here is our discussion. This is your first national media interview.
Yes.
And given what's at stake today, can you tell people what you want them to take away from, to know about your personal and deeply painful story, and why it's so relevant to women today?
Women today, if they're walking in the shoes that I was in, which was pregnancy from rape, then, you know, they don't have any option in a lot of states, and they're at risk for having no options after the election, you know, and that's, you know, very terrifying. And still, I will forever be that little girl. And, you know, that's really who I do this for. And knowing that I was in that position, and the only thing that allowed me to hold on to hope were the words, "You have options." Those are the first things I heard after I looked at a positive pregnancy test at 12 years old.
Wow. You were abused by your stepfather.
Yes.
Correct? It took a while to tell your mom about this. Your abuser was her husband. I'm curious how you did it, and I'm thinking this question is for young girls out there who may be in a similar situation.
When I was younger, it took, you know, a lot of planning. I would sit and I would say, okay, the next time I will tell, or, you know, if this happens, I will tell, or, you know, whatever. I would always have a reason, you know, and wait for that push. Right. And then it would come around and I would get scared. My mom is a recovering addict. So, you know, when I was young, she went away to inpatient rehab, and I knew what that looked like. And I was finally in a point of my life that I had, you know, prayed for. My mom was not using drugs anymore. She was home. Right. She was sober. And when I threatened to tell, I was told, well, you know, you'll risk your mom's sobriety. So that really stuck with me. And, you know, it always made me just want to keep the peace, because it was, you know, my family, the family that I had been hoping for and praying for so long. But then I was realizing that I didn't have peace, and that seemed to be most important. So honestly, just, you know, going into high school and knowing that there were a lot of milestones that not only me, but my sibling was about to, you know, accomplish. And I just didn't feel like we had to live in a secret anymore. So I honestly texted my mom from school, and I said, don't let me back out of what I need to tell you tonight. She started asking me some questions and actually came and picked me up from school. And I told her, I couldn't even look at her, and I said, Mom, I don't know how to say this to you. I'm just going to blurt it out. And I did. I said, I've been being sexually abused for 10 years. And immediately she was like, okay, we got to figure something out. Like, you're going to go stay with a friend, financials, you know, just, my mom was in cosmetology school at the time and had no income.
And now you're speaking out because a Trump win would mean what for little girls in the situation you were in?
It would mean the unimaginable. It would mean that they have no options, not even women and girls, but, you know, women with non-viable pregnancies, wanted pregnancies that are non-viable, that are killing these women. They will know that it will be no traveling to another state. It will be no options based on where you live. It will just be one rule for everybody, and that will be no abortions. And that is a very, very dangerous world for women, not only young girls, but all women.
Madam Vice President, you're here with Hadley, in part because she's amazing, and also because her story resonates with you deeply. You have been close to similar stories in your own life, may have even set the path of your career, prosecuting sexual violence cases. Can you tell us about that?
So, Mika, when I was in high school, I learned that my best friend was being molested by her stepfather. And when I learned about it, I said to her, you have to come live with us. I called my mother. My mother said, of course she has to come stay with us, and she did. And so at a young age, I decided I wanted to do the work that was about protecting women and children. And I became a prosecutor, and I specialized in particular, child sexual assault. And the fact that after the Dobbs decision came down, that laws have been proposed and passed, that, as Hadley has said, make no exceptions even for rape or incest. Think about what these extremists are saying to a survivor of a crime of violence to their body, a survivor of a crime that is a violation of their body, and to say to that survivor, and you have no right or authority to make a decision about what happens to your body next. That's immoral. That's immoral. And I say all of that to say that, Hadley, you are doing such important work to be a voice, because I'll also mention that the majority of these cases don't get reported. You know, and in some states they've passed a law that says, well, if a woman or a girl reports it to the police, then they might be eligible for an abortion. Well, a lot of survivors don't report it to the police because of fear of retribution that they fear will be even worse than what they are enduring.
And Hadley miscarried. If she had needed care for that today, depending on where you live, you may not get it. It's been 2 years now since Roe was overturned. And now we're dealing with the raw reality of that, which is women bleeding out in parking lots, on bathroom floors. I'm curious what your thoughts were when Roe was overturned, and now what we do with the cases before us, like Idaho. If the Supreme Court goes with the state, are women going to be able to get abortion care in ERs in Idaho?
Listen,
are there going to be any other options?
First of all, I say, let's really be clear about how we got here. Because the former president hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And in state after state, we are seeing what I call Trump abortion bans, including states that with a 6-week abortion ban, which tells you that these legislators clearly don't know how a woman's body works, or they don't care, in that most women don't even know they're pregnant in 6 weeks. And to your point, Mika, you know, there are 2, I think, coexisting issues here that are extremely important. One is the notion that the highest court in our land just took a fundamental right that had been recognized from the people of America, from the women of America, to make decisions about their own body. The notion of it all, that in this year of our Lord, 2024, the highest court in the United States of America would take such a fundamental freedom from its people, and understanding that this is not just a matter that is for debate and discussion and intellectual conversation. The real harm that has occurred every day in America since that case was decided and these laws are being passed, to your point, we know the stories about women seeking care because they're going through a miscarriage and being turned away by an emergency room because the physicians there are afraid they're going to be put in jail. In a state like Texas, they provide prison for life for a healthcare provider doing their job. And I don't think that I think that when you look at this issue, most people agree you don't have to abandon your faith. You don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government should not be telling women what to do with their bodies. If they choose, they will consult with their priest, their pastor, their rabbi, their imam, but not the government telling women what to do.
What is at stake in this election?
So much. You know, if you have a woman in your life that means something to you, her life is at stake. It does not matter if she is 12, 9, 34, you know, it really does not matter. If there is a woman who is in that reproductive age, then, you know, her life is at stake during this election. And it does not matter if you've never voted Democrat in your life, you know, it's get off your high horse, because women, we don't get to choose, you know, a whole lot, and you at least can choose who you can vote for. And there is a lot of things that need to be worked on, and, you know, we can't get it all done, but at the very least, we could get out of women's business when it involves their health care. And I've always said, you know, I'm pro minding your own business. Live your religion, you know, live it loudly, but don't expect your religion to make the laws. And that's, you know, like, your religion should be lived through and through, whether that's the law or not. However you came up, however you want to live your religion, but it shouldn't be forced on anybody else. And, you know, your religion shouldn't determine everybody's outcome, because I don't believe that my God that I worship and that I've learned about all my life would have ever wished something like that upon me.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.